This is the Cigar Snob podcast. I'm Nick Jimenez. Our office got a visit from Erik Espinosa, the founder of Espinosa Cigars, which is known for brands like Laranja, 601, and Murcielago. As long as he was here, we figured we'd sit him down in front of a mic for a conversation with our publisher, Erik Calviño, that ended up touching on his cigars, his singing, and his bucket list. But first, a word from our sponsor, Zafra Rum. At Cigar Snob magazine, we know that man cannot live on water alone, which is why we keep a healthy stockpile of Zafra Rum at the office. I'm Nick Jimenez, senior editor of Cigar Snob magazine, and I'm here to tell you that every time we crack open a bottle of Zafra Rum, we are impressed. In fact, I'm kind of hydrating with Zafra Rum right now. It's unlike anything else, in part because of Zafra's small batch approach. They use only hand-cut sugarcane and process it into top-grade molasses, distill in column stills, and ferment in a proprietary locally grown yeast. The rum master then ages the virgin rum in carefully selected bourbon oak casks. The end result is a rum masterpiece that's great for top-shelf cocktails, drinking it on the rocks, or even just drinking it neat, which, by the way, is what we did when we paired this in the pages of Cigar Snob magazine with the Oliva Serie B Melanio, but it goes great with just about any cigar. Here's what we had to say about Zafra Rum. Quote, the rum introduces smooth, honey, caramel, and molasses flavors that start to complement the coffee, chocolate, and spice from the cigar. Zafra also received an exceptional 95-point rating from the Beverage Tasting Institute, so we are not the only ones who are crazy about this stuff. It's just another one of their prestigious awards. Ask for Zafra Rum at your favorite retailer, restaurant, or bar. Make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Zafra Rum. That's Zafra Rum. Zafra Rum. Always drink responsibly, and remember that there is no rum without Zafra. All right, and now here's Erik Calviño's interview with Erik Espinosa of Espinosa Cigars.
So, Erik, you're a veteran of this business. You've been at this for a while, but maybe some people don't know enough about you. So, tell us first a little bit about yourself and the company.
Well, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've done just about everything there is to do in this industry. I don't know everything, but I've done just about everything. I started off working in a warehouse, cigar warehouse, and then I became an in-house rep. I became a sales manager. I had my own retail shop. I became an independent broker, and now I have my own factory in Nicaragua, La Zona. Through all those years, I've been doing it for 20 years. I've picked up a lot of knowledge, and finally, I've always wanted to make my own cigars.
And you always wanted to be in a podcast.
And I've always wanted to be in a podcast. This is my first. I'm a little nervous.
Don't be. We're gentle.
Are you gentle? No, actually, I like the mic.
We know that. If we have time, we can get Erik singing.
No. I said to myself.
No singing today?
No, the only one.
I said to myself, if ever I'm on a Cigar Snob podcast, I will not sing.
No, what happened a couple of days ago, I was in Kaufner Brewery. You even asked me about them today. Great beer, phenomenal guys out there, and they had a live band, and they wanted me to sing, so I started singing Folsom Blues.
Folsom Prison Blues.
Folsom Prison Blues. But I had the lyrics on my phone, and I halfway through the song, they were calling me, so I lost the lyrics, and I messed up the whole song, and then I went back to the song I know all the words to, which is Four Non-Blondes, What's Going On.
That is the song I've heard you sing the most.
25 years and my life is still.
There it is.
No, I'm not singing that. I gotta get. My next one's gonna be Wonderwall. I love that song, but I don't know all the words to it though.
Kind of like Folsom Prison.
Do you like Folsom Prison? Yeah, they mention a cigar in Folsom Prison.
They do, yeah. Smoking big cigars.
Yeah, smoking big cigars. Yeah.
So I hear the train a-coming.
It's rolling around the bend.
There you go. Well, if you want, Nick, we can get into it, but no. All right, but what about Espinosa Cigars, the company?
Well, after doing all that, working for other people, helping other companies build their business, I'm one of the few dads that I got my son out of college.
That was a topic for later, but let's get into it now.
Well, I mean, I wanted to make my own cigars because, when you have other people making your cigars, you got to wait and, and production and if you back orders. And nobody makes money on back orders. And I got kind of fed up with all that. And I said, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't do it by myself. So my son was going to college, and I told him, listen, I need your help. And I thought you can continue doing college, taking them online, courses online. And, of course, I got a call from his mother, and I told her, look, this is either the smartest thing I've ever done or the dumbest thing I've ever done, but we will soon find out. And thank God, knock on wood, we've been very successful.
Formica, you can knock on wood.
It's Formica.
I'm kidding.
I got to find some wood. And it's a dream. Look, we have a saying in the company, if you love what you do for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. And just working with my son, it's incredible, having him next to me. And he loves the business. If he didn't like it, it'd be something different. Yeah. But
I was going to say he's a great kid, but he's not. He's a man. He's a grown man now.
He's a grown man. And we got a great team working with us now. Hector helps me with the blends, go down there. We've gotten a lot of great ratings in the industry, which we made number 17 cigar, the Murcielago.
Yep. The Murcielago. Yeah, that's also, he's not letting me actually ask the question. I think he's looking at my list and then, segueing. But, no, the Murcielago was a tremendous cigar last year for us. I mean, we loved it. So it came in 17 on our list with a 92 rating. So for us, and that's exactly what I'm smoking right now. So I really enjoy the cigar.
I think it should have been a lot lower on the list, but that's all right.
Or higher, right? You mean a lower number.
A lower number.
Higher rating. So
like single digits, not double digits.
It is. It is an excellent cigar.
But we have next year, right?
But there is always next year.
Absolutely.
And but seriously, about the cigar. Not that I want to change the topic, but the cigar is actually unlike some of your other high-ranking cigars. It's not made at La Zona.
No, it's AJ makes it for me, and
so
people ask me why AJ Fernandez. Yeah, people ask me if you have your own factory, why would you have someone else make your some of the cigars for you? It's easy. Listen, he gets some of the best tobacco known to mankind, and he's got that beautiful. The hardest wrappers to get out of Nicaragua right now, which actually neither one are grown in Nicaragua, is the Mexican San Andre and the Connecticut broadleaf.
Yep.
And both wrappers, I have a hard time getting it, and ones that I do get are not very good.
I get the quality that you
I get like some of the scraps, and then I got to go buy from friends, and I got kind of tired of that, and I went to buy some of the wrapper from him. And he goes, man, you're my friend, and I love you, but you're taking my best wrapper. And I said, well, yeah, that's what I want. And he goes, well, let me make the cigar for you. And I said, well, that's a thought. I said, but your production, do you have room to make it for me? Well, he tells me he just bought a factory in Ocotal, which is like 40 minutes away from.
He tells you 20 minutes.
Yeah, but he makes it in 10. Yeah, he makes it in 10. And texting, by the way,
yes,
the whole way.
The entire way on the Carretera Panamericana,
flying. And by the way, I won't get in the car with him anymore.
Nope.
I'm taking that trip. I don't know if you have, but I won't. I'd rather take a donkey in the back.
Been there, done that. Yeah. No, don't need to do it again.
So yeah, we get there in about 10 minutes on. It's like 60 kilometers or whatever it is. So he gave me a price, and I said absolutely. So let's do it, and then I also gave him the 601s because the blue is the best seller, and it 601 blue,
and it also has a dark wrapper.
And it also has a dark wrapper, and it has it's a broadleaf, a Connecticut broadleaf, and so just to alleviate those headaches, I just had him make him down there, and we took over about 25% of his his production there, and everything's gone great. And I know who he is, and he's not only is he a friend, he's very, very. Everything for him's got to be perfect, and I don't know of anybody else that I would have make cigars for me other than him, just because his work ethics. And I know that if it's not perfect, he won't allow it to leave the factory.
No, he is. He's insane about details. I talk about this story all the time, but whenever you walk around a factory or his factory, and you walk with him, the attention to detail that he's getting to on these conversations with everyone is amazing.
He knows everybody's name.
He knows everyone's name. He knows exactly what every blend is supposed to be like. They give him something to taste, and he says, why does this taste like this? And the guy will say, well, we had to use this other tobacco because the other, what we normally use was not ready. And he's like, no, you can't use it with that. It's a completely different cigar now. Then you taste it, and it's really, really close.
Yeah.
It's really close, but no.
But he really knows. He knows what he's doing.
Incredible.
And again, I wouldn't allow anybody else, to make cigars for me unless
to have your name on it.
That has my name on it. Yeah, and that's the reason why he's making the brands for me. And look, I'm no idiot. He buys the best of the best too. So I can't get that.
Yeah, he has the buying power to buy all the best tobacco.
Correct. So we said, all right, let's do it. And so far, everything's worked great. And, his work ethic is, not to get back on that subject, but he knows, he's got over 1,000 employees and he knows everybody's name.
It's incredible. So tell us about some of the other Espinosa lines. Like one of our favorites here is a Laranja Reserva. We love that cigar here.
That was the hardest blend for me to make because when you in Nicaragua, it's no secret for people in the industry. When you go to try to buy tobacco, they want to sell you what doesn't sell, what they can't get rid of. And so I was sorting out. I was tasting some tobacco, and the guy shows me the wrapper. And I'm a big fan of Sinatra, and I read one time that he put orange as the happiest color. And I always wanted to make a brand with an orange band on it. And then when they opened up the wrapper, it's a Brazilian Habano wrapper, the light hit it, and it did look orangey, very orangey. When that wrapper's completely, open, it looks orangey. Now, when you roll it up into a cigar, it doesn't look as orangey.
It loses a little bit of that.
It loses a little bit of that. I told the guy, give me a couple hands, and I wanted to try to blend a cigar with it. And it was hard. It was hard because I had never worked with that wrapper in my life. I knew nothing about it, and none of my friends.
It's not a commonly used tobacco.
It's not. I think I'm the only one that's using it, and I would love it to stay that way. Nobody get any ideas out there. So when I started working on the blend, it took me a long time, and I couldn't ask anybody. Listen, what does this work well with? Because nobody's ever used it. So it took me a long time. Finally made something that I enjoyed. Now, the issue with that, Laranja means orange in Portuguese. But that wrapper comes different variations, different colors.
Yeah, like all wrappers. They have a different, slightly different
So I couldn't use
shade.
I couldn't use the darker one because it's no longer a Laranja. And the lighter ones are a lot thinner.
I don't know what the brown is in Portuguese, but it would be
I don't know
La Brown.
Right. So actually I did two blends, one with the darker wrapper and one with the lighter wrapper. And I make cigars for a company, Cornelius and Anthony.
Yeah.
And I make a brand for them, the Daddy Mac, which worked out perfect because now he uses the darker wrapper and I use the lighter wrapper. The Laranja, completely different cigar, but I was able to use the darker wrapper in the cigar. So there's not a lot of waste. And I'm more into the lighter wrappers. I like, not that I'm a big fan of Connecticut, but I like to get the flavor of the blends. And then when you go into your darker wrappers, it's so overpowering that you really don't taste the blends and some of your Habanos. I'm a big fan of Habanos, but I like the lighter Habano better than.
So you're saying on a Maduro, the cigars tend to be more wrapper dominant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm big, because I retrohale, let the smoke out my nose. For those of you guys who don't know what retrohale is,
we say it about once a show. So if they haven't heard that by now,
okay. All right. So I enjoy doing that, and I get a lot more flavor, and I get a lot more flavor off the lighter Habanos. I'm a big fan, but the problem with the lighter Habanos is it's more fragile. Cigar tends to break a little bit more
a little bit cracking
than the darker ones. So that was one that, and look, I've had a 95 rated in your competitors' magazine.
Yeah, that's okay. You could say that name.
And it's been well received, and it's still a hot seller for us. It's one of our best sellers out there.
It's an excellent cigar. We love it.
So everyone tells me that they get a hint of citrus. But I promise all your listeners that I don't squeeze orange, lemons, or limes on it.
I think it's a little suggestive. Now, we smoke those cigars blind. So I don't think we've ever put citrus in our notes because I don't. Me personally, I don't notice any citrus in it. But hey, what are you gonna do? So what other cigars? I mean, one other cigar that if someone wants to. So we've talked about the Murcielago. We've talked a little bit about the 601s and the Laranja. Give me one more cigar that maybe if you wanted to sort of introduce someone to the Espinosa portfolio, here's one other cigar that would be representative of our portfolio.
Well, I did the Crema last year. It's the Espinosa Crema, which is a Connecticut shade cigar. Everyone that picks up a Connecticut cigar thinks it's mild. I didn't make a mild Connecticut. I'm more into flavor, and that was another hard cigar for me to make because there's not much flavor on the wrapper, at least not for me. Maybe it's because I've been smoking cigars for 30 years. But a Connecticut is also a very dominant wrapper because there's not much there. And it's very bitter. Okay, so you have to know what you're doing with the cigar to balance it out, to take some of that bitterness. And especially Connecticut. From Connecticut, it's a lot more bitter than the Connecticut from Ecuador.
So that the crema has a Connecticut.
No, Connecticut from Ecuador.
Oh, okay.
It has a Connecticut from a Connecticut seed.
Grown in Ecuador.
Yes, you can't call it Connecticut shade.
Correct.
I learned that about 10 years ago because some people make that mistake because it's not grown in the shade in Ecuador.
Yeah, they have natural cloud cover.
Clouds.
Yeah,
that is correct. You've learned a lot.
Hey, listen, I've been at it not 20 years, but I've been right there by your side.
Maybe
buddy.
you can help me with some of the blends and all that. Yeah, but I was corrected one time. I was corrected one time with that. So, yeah, and we made one, but I wanted to make one with a lot of flavor. Something you wake up in the morning, you can have your cup of coffee. And that's probably the only time I'll smoke it because after, lunch or dinner time, I want something stronger. So in the morning with a cup of coffee, it's phenomenal. But it's got a lot of flavor, and you do taste it. With or without retrohaling, you get a lot of flavor in that cigar. And that was like a gateway for us, for people to start trying our cigars because we're known, in Espinosa Cigars to make fuller body cigars. Yeah. And we do. We do make, a lot of fuller body cigars, but it was something that I wanted to do for people just to try our cigars. And then when they tend to smoke a lot longer, then their palate changes and they want something heavier. They want something more medium or full body. So that's a gateway.
I think we find, and it happens even to us, right? Your palate, not only does it change and evolve, but also you kind of, when you start to go heavy on one type of cigar and you spend a lot of time on that one type, and you have a tendency to say, you know what, I want to freshen things up, and then you want to go the other way. So like lately, the last few days, I've been just Maduro heavy, and it's been a long time for me where I've gone Maduro after Maduro after. Like today, I started with a Maduro, and here I am now smoking the Murcielago at the end of the day. So, and it's been a couple days of that, and probably tomorrow I'll jump back the other way and freshen up the palate a little bit.
I can't do that. I gotta have my Habano. I gotta have I'll do the crema in the morning, and I'll do a Espinosa Habano. I have to have a Habano once a day. And I smoke 7, 8, 9, 10 cigars a day, depending. Especially if I'm doing an event, it's more than that. But I just get so much more flavor off the blend on a Habano wrapper.
No, normally I would agree, but part of our job
is to smoke every sure.
All kinds of cigars as we're tasting things, and it just so happens when you're meeting with manufacturers and they happen to give you today, that's what you came in with. If you would have brought an Habano, it would have changed things up.
Because I know you were on a Maduro trip today.
Yeah, I was on a bit of a Maduro kick. I mean, a little while ago, I smoked La Gran Llave.
Yeah.
So, let's switch up a little bit, get off of the cigars for a bit, and we don't typically do this, but I want to make it a little fun. So how about we do some bucket list? I mean, what's on your bucket list? What have you recently achieved on your bucket list that you want to talk about? And what's on it still that is outstanding on your bucket list?
Well, I'm a big baseball fan, and back in the day, I would say I'm big, in the 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, but nowadays it's for me.
Talking Don Mattingly type stuff.
Yeah.
As a player, not a coach,
I can't,
not a manager.
No, he's all right. I mean, he's got to do with the hand he's dealt.
He's good. He's good. He's working with
he's not working with a 6-pack. He's a beer short of a 6-pack. But You know, and it's a shame. You know, being a Marlin fan, we've given up Babe Ruth twice.
Yep.
Miguel Cabrera and Stanton.
Yep.
You know, and getting back to the baseball, I with all my travels, I've been to every major league baseball park, and that's something I always wanted to do. And I did it within like a year and a half. I went. Now I haven't seen a game in every stadium, but I've taken a picture in front of every stadium.
What was your favorite? What was your favorite where you saw a game?
Well, I saw the World Series in Fenway with Kurt Schilling, the Bloody Sock.
That's
I was there with
awesome.
my son, and you know, I've been there. I've been to that stadium twice. I saw Pedro Martinez pitch against the Yankees one game, and then I saw the World Series. They were playing the Cardinals. You know, and Fenway, I had these 2 tickets, and I was behind the pesky pole. I don't know if you know what the pesky
yeah,
pole
of course.
is. For you guys out there who don't know what the pesky pole is, just the pole that's in right
In the
field.
way.
In the way. And, you know, I had to turn my head to the right to see the Schilling pitch and then go to the left to see the guy hit. And it was crazy. So I went to the game 1 and game 2. And then game 2, it was separate tickets. I got the tickets with, I don't know if you know Henry Villar.
Yeah, of course I know Henry Villar.
Henry hooked me up.
He's a baseball
He's a
legend
big-
here in
yeah,
Miami.
Yeah, so he got me the tickets. And then game 2, I had seats 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 because he had to go back home. So he left me the tickets. He goes, just stay with your son and just give these tickets to my attorney and his son. So his attorney flew in. I met the attorney at the hotel. I gave him 5 and 6. I told my son, hey, listen, let's sit in 1 and 2. If we got to get up and get sodas or whatever, or popcorn, whatever, you know, we're right there. We don't have to bother nobody. He's all right, whatever. So I give the guy the tickets. I walk up to the stadium. I'm behind third base, but right behind the overhang. And the attorney, hey, Eric, hey, what's up, buddy? He's got great views. And I sit down, 1 and 2. I got one of those green posts right in front. I mean, but I was there. I was in the World Series, and you know, by the last one I had.
So the Schilling, you were behind the pesky pole.
And then the game 2,
And
I
then the
was.
Pedro.
Well, no, Pedro was.
Pedro was not
another
there.
game. Was another game.
Sorry.
I forgot who pitched that one. But they won. They swept the Cardinals. They beat them in 4 games. That was the same year that they were down 3-0 to the Yankees.
Yep.
And they came back and they.
That was the Boone, right?
No. Boone hit the home run to beat
them.
No. This was when they were down. They were down 3-0 to the Yankees.
Boone,
and the
Boone
Yankees
one, they won that. The Yankees won that one.
And then I went actually. The last stadium I needed was the one in Toronto, when I was there about 4 months ago. And so I've been to every stadium, not just in this country. I went to the one in Toronto. And I saw a football game in Lambeau Field with Rocky and his brother. We went out there.
How was that?
Brett Favre, second to last game. Those guys there, I'll never go again, even though I love the town. But all they do is drink nonstop. They get a first down and they buy a round of drinks for everybody. And I don't want to tell you what happened when they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know, but it was crazy. I didn't find a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts there. I didn't have a cup of coffee in 3 days.
Just beer.
Beer or margaritas or bourbon or scotch. It was crazy. Those guys, all they do is drink out there, man.
Wow.
Well,
it's
crazy.
cold as balls.
It was cold. It was cold. It was Brett Favre's second to last game. They were playing Seattle. I think and they won. The next game is they played the Giants, and he threw the interception, the pick six, and overtime, and Green Bay lost. But it was great. And you talk about the bucket list. I mean, the only thing I want to do is, which is very much doable. I just haven't done it because I haven't had the time. But is to go see the Fields of Dream, in Iowa.
The Field of Dreams, yeah.
Yeah, in Iowa.
Little Kevin Costner.
Little Kevin Costner. That's something that. Everything else, I wanted to go to Europe and Italy to see the Coliseum. I have a bulldog, and I named him Maximus because of the movie Gladiator. Ever since the movie Gladiator, I wanted to see the Coliseum. But as far as going anywhere, I've done it all. I'm not going to go to China. I'm never going to go to Japan because I cannot be in a plane for 24 hours. There's no way I can do that. I don't have the patience to do that. So maybe you do. I don't. So going anywhere, no, I just want to see. And last weekend, something else I wanted to do. I want to do a bourbon trail. I went to Buffalo Trace, and I did that. So other than spending time with my family, Fields of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. What about any physical things like jumping out of a perfectly good airplane or anything like that?
No, I like to have my 2 feet on the ground, man.
Yeah.
And you got to pay for those things. I hear. I'm not going to pay anybody to jump off a plane, dude. No.
Who's a big fan of that? My sister.
Is she?
Yeah, you see her there, that little, and she's jumped out of a plane several times.
There's no way I would do that. It's not. That's not me. I used to, when I started in the business, I used to have to take Xanax to fly. I was scared to fly.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up. My dad worked for Eastern, so as a kid, we were on a plane every single weekend. So no, I grew up with no fear of flying, and even today, I mean,
It's funny. I used to, like, let's say I had to do a trip on Monday, and let's say I had to be in Detroit Monday. I would fly in on Sunday morning because I couldn't function with the Xanax, so I would get there the day before.
no
And
kidding.
dude, it was bad. It was bad until I just one day I'm in Dominican Republic. I take a Xanax to get home, and I was divorced, and it was my week with my son, and I get home, and I was out of it. I was just out of it. My sister picked me up at the airport, and she looks at me, "What's wrong with you?" I said, No, I just took a Xanax. Drops me off at the house. I went to bed, and I get there around, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and then now it's 6 o'clock. I wake up, and my son's, "Hey, Dad, I'm starving, man." And I just look at him. I go, "How'd you get in the house?" He said, "You left the door open. It was wide open." And so I said, "Man, never again, man." So now I wing it. Now I really don't even care. It doesn't bother me.
No Buffalo Trace on the plane or something.
No, it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I
got to
know.
watch a movie, though. I get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get upgraded a lot because of all the miles that I have, and every time I'm on a flight, there's never a TV. Every time I'm first class, American Airlines never has a TV. Everybody tells me about these great TVs they have, and this. I've never been on a plane with all the miles I have. First class, I've never been on a plane other than JetBlue that
Yeah.
has TVs.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's my
so-
luck.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Thank
Can't-
God for Netflix. I download a lot of movies.
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, there are solutions for this. So bucket lists are out of the way. Now you're also big into food.
I am.
So would you say? I mean, because from talking to you over the course of the last 12 years, you always bring up Italian food. Always. Is that your favorite
Yes.
cuisine?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you have some opinions on this.
Because they feed you a lot.
that they do. That they do. So then give me what if you can go to just one restaurant anywhere in the world for Italian food, where are you going?
Wow.
Don't
It's
worry about
everywhere.
upsetting any of your friends here
No,
in restaurants in Miami.
I would have to say Moderano's. I mean,
Whoa.
yeah, I would have to say
Cafe
that.
Moderano.
Well, it depends what you want. If you want meatballs, there's a phenomenal restaurant in South Beach, MacLeod's. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, that's very
The
good.
meatballs are phenomenal. But I like going to Philly a lot, and I love their Italian there.
Shout out to Renzulli.
Renzulli, there you go. They take food to the next level.
You're talking about the Italians or the
well,
or Philly?
and everywhere you go, because I'm always fighting with them because I call it pasta and they call it macaroni, and I call it a sauce and they call it gravy, and I tell them, so what do you have for Thanksgiving? Oh, that's brown gravy. So is yours red? No, it's just gravy. I'm always busting
Yeah.
their tails on that. But they
By
take
the way,
food.
this is Renzulli is Anthony Renzulli from
Anthony
Twin.
Renzulli from Twin Smokes House
Yeah.
in South Philly, a good friend of the company. So I'm there one day, and his mother always makes me a Italian love cake. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
I don't even like chocolate. It's got ricotta cheese in it. It's phenomenal. So one day she goes, "Hey, Eric, I'm gonna make you a pound cake." I'm like,
Of all
"I'm
the
gonna a
things,
pound cake of all things, of all
Yeah.
desserts, a pound cake." Yeah, whatever, but I'm not gonna be rude. Okay,
No, of
thank
course.
you, Marie. So she makes the pound cake, cuts a slice, and I go, "Thank you, Marie." She goes, "Oh, it's not done yet." So what else is there? She puts it in the toaster.
Okay, that's how I eat pound cake, by the way. But go
I've
ahead.
never heard that
Oh,
in my
really?
life. I've
Okay.
never had. Well, what do you do? Sarah Lee's pound? That'll fall apart in a
Not
a
Enemans.
toaster.
An Enemans pound cake.
That's gonna fall apart in a toaster.
No, it doesn't
yes,
fall
it does,
apart in
bro.
a not a toaster oven. Flat toaster oven, boom.
Oh,
and
okay.
then
okay,
you put a little bit
right,
of butter on
right.
it, and then life is good.
I didn't know that. This is the first time ever, and I've told everybody. I've
That's
told you.
just
You're
something
the,
that I do. I didn't learn this from the Italians.
You're the first guy I've ever.
But my last
seen
name
do that.
sounds Italian, so maybe there's something there. No,
But you're the first guy that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
you heard it here first.
Listen, you know what I ate for breakfast on there? Lemon ricotta pancakes.
Oh.
Where do you get lemon ricotta pancakes in South Florida?
No, I didn't.
You get rice and
I got
beans
nothing
and
for
rice
you
and
there.
beans and a little bit more rice and beans. You know?
A little bit of pork.
So I'm a big fan of the San Marzano tomatoes. So if I see a pizza place that use San Marzano tomato, I know it's good. You know,
Yeah.
it is. I just
So, but you still haven't told me where you would. Oh, you said
I
Moderanos.
said Moderanos. Moderanos. He's got one in. Actually, he had one in the Hard Rock. I don't know if that's still there, but he had one in Oakland Park. He's got one in Vegas, and there's one in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I went to the one in Broward with Rocky.
Oh, did you?
And as soon as we walked in, they had Rocky the soundtrack from the movie on it, just to
they just to boost his ego a
Yep.
little bit more. And who paid for the bill?
I'm not sure. I don't ask those questions when I'm being taken somewhere. I don't ask.
All right. Yeah, I've been with him there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I guess who gets stuck with the bill?
He wouldn't do that to me. I'll write about it.
Eric, I left my credit card back into the hotel. No, he's a good friend. I love Rocky
he's
to
awesome.
death. Yeah, I love Rocky to death.
So that's your Italian food recommendation, Moderanos. You heard it here. So, what else you got?
No, I mean, business.
You got any
is
events
good.
coming up? You do this La Zona Palooza.
I do the Lazona Palooza. I did it, but it's an invitation only. It's for guys out there that buy our cigars, and they post a lot of our cigars, and we look at that very carefully, and we invite only people that post our cigars and buy our cigars. So how do you get invited to Lazona
Yeah,
Palooza?
that was the next question.
Correct. We've created a big bunch of followings out there. It's just a great time. You've been there. It's 3 days of just smoking, drinking, dancing, singing,
kickball, and all kinds of games.
We did dodgeball.
Dodgeball, that's right.
One
that's
year,
right.
yeah, and we have a blast. Listen, it's
they got to follow you on social media first, right?
they follow us on social media and Instagram at Erik Espinosa 601, and then on the Facebook is Erik Espinosa. Here's the thing, and I'm a firm believer that you got to dance with the people that you brought to the dance. And all these guys all year long, they post cigars. So what I do is we add to the event. We don't take away, because yes, these guys, they came by last year, but I don't feel good not inviting them again. So I invite everybody,
So every year you increase the
number of people that we
So you don't
invite.
just take someone out because
because they went the year before. No, because it's not fair. They're the ones that we're here because of them. If it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't be in business.
So these are Espinosa like Uber fans, right? Like
Yeah,
these are like the super fan of Espinosa cigars.
Correct, and we monitor that.
So is there someone? So who does this monitoring? Eric Jr.
and Danielle that works at the warehouse, and I do a little bit of myself.
So
So
if someone is not on your radar right now, how do they get on the radar? Just
start posting our cigars.
start buying Espinosas and posting
them.
pictures.
And posting pictures, and
do people get bonus for video? Is there originality?
You get 3 points for a video. You get 3 points for video and 1 for a picture.
And 5 for running over the guy. No. So
it's a great time.
It's a good time. And when is that?
It's in November, early November. The first year we did it in March, but it was
listen,
too hot.
guys, chop, get on the buying Espinosas and posting about them.
Absolutely, and that's the way if you ever want to come to La Zona Palooza. And what's La Zona? La Zona is the name of the factory where we make almost all of our cigars. Of course, not the one that we talked about that AJ makes. So La Zona means zone. Get into the zone. So listen, get into the zone with our cigars. And that's and you'll get invited.
Do you still do any sort of trips down to the factory? Because that was a big part early on, right?
I used to do it. I still do it.
Like I went on one with you.
Yeah. I used to do it. The problem is that for me to get to Nicaragua, it's hard because I don't have the time. I'm more valuable to the company and traveling in the States, and then that's why I taught Hector, to help me with the blends and all that.
And
so
by Hector, we're talking about Hector Alfonso.
Hector Alfonso, yeah, he works with us, and he goes down there like once every 2 months, and then I'll go 5-6 times a year, but I don't go as often as I used to. And then when I go, I like to, work. When you have a group, it's hard to work while you have the group. You have to get away, and then you feel kind of embarrassed because you got to work and you leave the group alone, and I don't like doing that. And then I get kidnapped by AJ. I got to go see every field and every pilon. He'll show me the same pilon like 3 times in a day, and I just don't have the time. But it's something that we want to look into again and start doing it again. I've done 2 trips this year already with guys who are my older trips to that I promised that we were going to go. and we've done it, and I got another one scheduled for July.
And so those guys that are on a trip to July, you're talking retailers?
Retailers. Retailers and there some other consumers.
Some of their best customers.
Yeah.
So good stuff. So again, if people want to find out more about Espinosa Cigars, it's EspinosaCigars.com. Is that what it is?
EspinosaCigars.com, yeah.
And then you said earlier, Instagram is Erik Espinosa 601.
Something like that.
Erik, by the way, is with a K.
E-R-I-K.
So E-R-I-K Espinosa 601. That's the Instagram. And Facebook, it's just Erik Espinosa.
Yeah. So now let me ask you a question. What's on your bucket list? Let them know. They want to know. Your fans want to know.
So I used to be big into diving, scuba diving.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to dive the Great Barrier Reef. So that's something that I never got to do. And now we're just so damn busy that just getting to Australia is almost impossible with this magazine. But that is something that I would like to do. That's on my bucket list.
Well, let me know how it goes, because there's no way I'm going to Australia being on a plane that's a lot longer flight.
That's a long flight, yeah. But so yeah, that's part of the problem, right? But that's on my bucket list, and these like a couple months ago, I got to sit down with a group of Michelin star chefs, and I got to meet them. I hung out with Thomas Keller, Chef Lung out in Hong Kong. So.
Where'd you meet them at?
It was a Davidoff event where they're doing the new Chef's Edition. And so we got to meet these guys. And one of the things, at our table, it was Chef Lung. So I'd like to go to his restaurant in Hong Kong. Right. So yeah, that's also something I want to do.
Where'd you meet him at? Where were you guys at?
This was at Davidoff's field. They
in Dominican?
Yeah. In Hikome.
Oh, okay. I've never been to one. And I've...
To a Michelin restaurant.
restaurant. I've never had the time. I mean, there's 2 in San Francisco. There's a couple in Vegas, right? There's one in New York or 2 in New York.
No, New York. There's Per Se, which is one.
There's none in Miami. Huh?
No,
there's none in Miami. Yeah.
Now there are Michelin star chefs who have restaurants in Miami, but those restaurants themselves. Right. One of them is Daniel Boulud in downtown, or is it downtown? Yeah. So DB Bistro, and it's a great restaurant, by the way.
Have you been to any of them?
Yeah, well, in Belgium, Nick and I cannot remember the name of the restaurant.
And how was the food?
It was excellent. The food was excellent. It's just not enough of it for me.
Correct. That's.
But the food was amazing.
So you went to McDonald's afterwards?
No.
In other words,
no.
They don't feed you, bro.
But listen, also Thomas Keller, French Laundry, I've also been to, which is again unbelievable. So, but yeah, that's my bucket list, man. I'm a man of simple tastes.
Yeah. I like the holes in the walls, man. I don't care how many stars you got. I like the holes in the wall. And I get guys that call me all the time, hey, listen, they're on vacation or they travel. Hey, I'm in Wisconsin. Where do I eat? And what city you're in, and most of the times I know because I follow Guy Fieri and some of the diners, Dive In and Dive. Some of them are okay and some of them are great. I just went to one in Kentucky, which he raved about. I'm not even going to mention the name because I don't think it was that good. They season the shrimps and they leave the shells on the shrimp. So, I mean, and I know you get more flavor cooking the shrimps with the shells on. But once you sucked on the shrimps a little bit, it was gone.
Yeah.
And then you have to peel them. And look, I'm not paying a lot of money to peel
do
shrimps.
all that work.
Yeah. So, some of them are spot on and some of them are, I remember being.
But that's part of the joy of the hole in the wall, right? It's just discovering these places. Sometimes you have some misses. I mean, that's just part of it.
Yes. And one day I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and he had an episode, and I was watching it, and one restaurant was in Cleveland, and the other one was in Miami. I'm in Cleveland, and I live in Miami. So I said, I'm going to do that. So the next day was a Saturday. On Sunday, I wake up, I went to the shop, I invited a couple of guys to go to the restaurant to check it out, and it was great. It's called Oak and Ember. I think it's in Chesterfield, Ohio. And I'm in the middle of nowhere, and they have a chorizo meatloaf.
No kidding.
It was phenomenal. Yes. It was phenomenal.
A chorizo meatloaf.
Yes.
You know what that sounds like? A little bit like boliche, right?
Yeah, yes. But it was incredible. And then then I flew out.
And the Miami one, what was that?
Blue Collar. It's
Okay,
one,
yeah.
You've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's
Because of you, I've heard of it.
Well, it's in Biscayne. There, a lot of people have never heard of it, but it's a little hole in the wall. But the food's amazing, and you don't have to fly to Hong Kong to.
I hear you, man.
I think it might be a 4-star. You save the flight, bro, and then you eliminate a star, and
That's good.
and
That's good
you
stuff.
eat good food,
Well, thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having
me. It was
me,
a good
man.
time. Thank you for bringing the cigars, and thank you for all these awesome cigars that you've been putting out.
Thank
And
you.
keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thanks to Erik for dropping by and doing that interview. As always, thank you for listening to the Cigar Snob podcast. Make sure that you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Rate and review us while you're there. You can also find episodes of the podcast at cigarsnobmag.com/podcast. Share this episode with friends and fellow smokers who you think might be interested in this interview. If you're a social media person, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Cigar Snob Mag. Finally, make sure to send any feedback, questions, or comments to feedback@cigarsnobmag.com. We might just respond to you right here on the podcast or in the pages of Cigar Snob Magazine. So thanks for listening. Until next time, again, I'm Nick Jimenez, and this is the Cigar Snob Podcast. At Cigar Snob Magazine, we know that man cannot live on water alone, which is why we keep a healthy stockpile of Safra rum at the office. I'm Nick Jimenez, senior editor of Cigar Snob Magazine, and I'm here to tell you that every time we crack open a bottle of Safra rum, we are impressed. In fact, I'm kind of hydrating with Safra rum right now. It's unlike anything else, in part because of Safra's small batch approach. They use only hand-cut sugarcane and process it into top-grade molasses, distill in column stills, and ferment in a proprietary locally grown yeast. The rum master then ages the virgin rum in carefully selected bourbon oak casks. The end result is a rum masterpiece that's great for top-shelf cocktails, drinking it on the rocks, or even just drinking it neat, which, by the way, is what we did when we paired this in the pages of Cigar Snob Magazine with the Oliva Serie V Melanio. But it goes great with just about any cigar. Here's what we had to say about Safra rum. Quote, the rum introduces smooth, honey, caramel, and molasses flavors that start to complement the coffee, chocolate, and spice from the cigar. Safra also received an exceptional 95-point rating from the Beverage Tasting Institute, so we are not the only ones who are crazy about this stuff. It's just another one of their prestigious awards. Ask for Safra rum at your favorite retailer, restaurant, or bar. Make sure you follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Safra Rum. That's Zafra Rum. Safra Rum. Always drink responsibly, and remember that there is no rum without Safra.